We often think of willpower as some kind of moral virtue, right? Something you either have or you don't. But what if that's completely wrong? What if it's not a virtue at all?
What if it's a specific biological function, a circuit in your brain that you can actually understand, target, and train, just like a muscle? I mean, this isn't just a theory. Stanford researchers actually proved this by putting an electrode in a patient's brain and stimulating a single tiny region, the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, or what we'll call the aMCC. And the patient's reaction was amazing. They didn't feel a muscle twitch, they didn't see colors. Instead, they just felt this wave of pure, unshakable willpower. Like a storm was coming, but they knew with absolute certainty they could handle it. That's grit as biology, not just character.
And here's the best part. You can train this region. Navy SEALs, superagers in their 90s, even ultramarathon runners, they all have a physically larger aMCC. A 2006 study showed you can actually grow yours in just 6 months. So today, we're going to break down exactly how to build your willpower by targeting this specific brain circuit. And it's all backed by real science.
All right, so let's dive in and meet your willpower engine. Understanding what the aMCC actually does is the very first step to training it.
Think of the aMCC as the command center for action in your brain. It's constantly taking in all this data, stuff like your body's energy levels, your emotional state, how hard the challenge in front of you is, and what the potential reward might be. Then it makes a call. Do we push forward or do we hold back?
This quote from Dr. Daniel Amen just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? For so long, we've talked about things like willpower and motivation without ever looking at the actual organ responsible. It's kind of like a cardiologist never looking at a heart. By focusing on the aMCC, we're finally looking under the hood. So, if the aMCC is the hardware, what about the software? Well, for a long time, psychology had a pretty big debate about this, which really came down to 2 main ideas.
So on one side, you had the ego depletion theory, the idea that willpower is like a fuel tank that can literally run empty. Every tough decision drains it a little. But on the other side, you had the power of belief camp, which said your mindset is everything. If you believe your stamina is unlimited, it basically is. And the truth? It seems like they were both kind of right. Your beliefs, your mindset, are the software that runs on the physical hardware of your brain, your aMCC.
Okay, now we get to the really exciting part. This isn't just theory. We have actual scientific proof that you can physically change your brain. You can literally grow your aMCC. And it doesn't take a lifetime to do it. A landmark study from 2006 showed that you can make significant, measurable changes in just 6 months.
So here's how they figured this out. They took a group of older, pretty sedentary adults and just had them do 3 hours of cardio a week. That's it. And the result? They physically increased the size of their aMCC. But here's the key takeaway. It wasn't just the exercise itself. It was the act of willfully choosing to push through something that was hard. That's the thing that actually built the muscle.
And this leads to this brilliant practical concept from neuroscientist Andrew Huberman called microsucks. I know, the name's a little funny, but the idea is powerful. These are the small, safe, voluntary moments of effort, the things you know you should do but you'd really rather not. Think of them as individual reps for your aMCC.
And you can start doing this right now, today. When you're at the gym and you want to stop, just do one more set. When you wake up in the morning, wait an extra 15 minutes before you grab your phone. Or, do something simple but uncomfortable, like taking a 30-second cold shower. Every single time you override that impulse to quit or seek comfort, you are literally doing a push-up for your willpower circuit.
So, why does any of this matter beyond just, getting through a tough workout or resisting a cookie? Well, it turns out training your aMCC has some really profound long-term implications.
This is just incredible. Scientists studying superagers, these are people in their 80s and 90s who have the cognitive function of people decades younger, found one thing they all had in common: a thick, healthy, and significantly larger aMCC. It's directly tied to longevity and keeping your mind sharp as you age.
This quote really just wraps it all up perfectly. It's such an empowering truth, and it's backed by science. Your ability to be gritty, to focus, to have self-control, that isn't some fixed trait you were born with. It's something you can actively build and improve for your entire life.
So, when you boil it all down, it leads to this one powerful idea. Willpower isn't a gift, it's a skill. And like any skill, you can build it with practice. So the only real question left is, what will you train yours to achieve?
So I'll leave you with this. Willpower is not some mystical force or moral virtue. It's a specific biological circuit in your brain that you can strengthen through deliberate effort. The question is no longer if you can build it, but how effectively. And effectiveness comes down to biology. In our next video, we're going deep into the biology of willpower, the brain protein that acts like fertilizer for your aMCC, the neurotransmitters that fuel effort, and why some people's willpower circuits grow faster than others. If you want to understand the complete biological system behind grit, that video is essential. I've linked it in the description and it'll pop up at the end of this one. If you want more evidence-based protocols like this every week, subscribe to the Grit Lab Official. We decode neuroscience into action. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.